I'm Ryan. This is my brother Daniel. This is Rolls in the Family. And today we are continuing our countdown of our top 50 board games of all time with number 20 through 11. Maybe you've been with us through this journey. Maybe you are just finding this video, in which case, maybe you want to check out some of the rest of the list.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a reason why you might want to do that, besides just being interested in what games we like, which is that we are running a contest as part of this, a giveaway where you yourself could get one of the games off of our list, and each of these videos has a way that you can get an entry. There's a Google form in the description below, and I am going to tell you the secret word. Unlike how I did in the last video where I did not say the secret word.
That's a good teaser, Ryan. Promise that there's a secret word and then just never say it.
Yeah, it was much more secret in the last video.
You really had to work
than
for
most
it.
of these ones. Yes, I'm sure it was on screen. But I'm going to give you a word that you'll need to enter in the form below to officially get the entry for this video. Today's secret word is final. Like, this is your final opportunity to get an entry.
Oh my god!
In this giveaway. In fact, the window for this one is smaller.
It is.
Because from the point that you're actually viewing this, assuming you're viewing it shortly after it has been
This isn't live?
posted to the internet. Yeah. This whole time I thought we were live. No, we record in advance, believe it or not.
Wow.
Because of the timing of us needing to get out the 10 through 1 video the following week and have the winners announced in that video, it's a shorter time frame that you actually can get this particular. So don't wait.
Well,
Run
I tell you,
and
it rewards the more dedicated viewers.
Exactly.
Right? Like, there's a lot of people that are not going to be dedicated enough to get that fourth entry.
We're talking to you. You're only going to have 3 entries, maybe.
Yeah.
But
That's right.
You can, however, go back to all the other videos if you missed them. And you can get all those entries. As long as you get them in before we actually do the drawing for that last video, you are good. Some good games here to be potentially
I would love to win one of these games.
Selected. And they are good games that we're going to have links to in the description below. So you could go check them out for yourself. See
You
if,
could buy it in advance, and then win the game, and then return it.
Yes. Or just get a different game, and then you get 2 great games.
That's another option. Yep.
Look at that.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, let's hit it. We're top 20. Whew.
Yeah, top 20. So, start with my number 20. This was a game that, Ryan, we were just talking about right before we started recording this video, and I was expressing my grief that how could my 20th board game of all time not be in my collection? Number 20 goes to Ark Nova. As I was just sharing with Ryan, my deep grief in my heart that I don't own Ark Nova, and actually used to own Ark Nova, sold it to Ryan. So did I sell it, or did you ever pay me, or did you steal it?
I believe I paid you.
Okay, I
don't think it was like a trade bartering thing or anything.
I gotta check on that.
Does it make it harder though, seeing me? You know, like just enjoying this game.
It's awful. It's truly awful. So I may end up getting it again. I've got a friend who owns it, but Ark Nova, it really brings together so many elements, I think, that we enjoy in board games, especially in heavier games. Obviously, I think the zoo theme is just a really fun one. I feel like there's not a lot of games that I've played that kind of lean into that. And having your personal board, you really do feel that the fun of building out kind of a unique layout, but also the constrictions of like a polyomino game where it's like, how can I fit my enclosures, in the best way possible. So you got all that going on. You've got the, continual getting of cards, which is something we love in a lot of games. I think of like a Terraforming Mars or something like that, where we're continually, getting these cards that can be animals, they can be conservation projects, all these different things. But all of, amidst, it's a fairly heavy game, right? A lot going on, but it all centers around just such a beautiful, simplistic system of you have these 5 action cards, and you are, whenever you take an action, you take the card and you slide the rest of them down, or I forget which direction, slide to the right or left. But they're getting more powerful the longer you wait, right? From like when you take an action, you have to put it back at the bottom, and the more it gets down, the more powerful it's getting. it's such a simple thing. It is so great. Like the puzzle of how to maximize your actions is so rewarding of, okay, sweet, I was able to get this one to, the 5th position and I'm able to do the full powerful version of the action. Or like, I really need to do this action again, but it's low, and is that worth it? Or should I take another action, in the meantime? I just find that's incredibly rewarding. You add on top of that, I've played once the expansion Ark Nova, which I think you own now, worlds. Correct?
Yep.
And oh my gosh, does that just really add some fun improvements even to that system, because now those cards, there's some very, you start the game, is it 1 or 2 of them are
two unique
variable cards, which Ryan and I are just like, like that's just
love that kind of stuff.
That's just incredible. There's a lot of other stuff it does, but man, the whole interaction of the personal board and the actions you're taking there, the shared like kind of conservation projects and that, along with, man, it's a game where there's a lot of comboing, and you get this thing to then can then allow you to get this thing. This one's a ton of fun. It's really, obviously up there in those heavier games that we enjoy. And it's held steady for me, kind of 18, 15, and now 20, and that's despite not being in my collection currently.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ryan, I miss it. I miss it. Can I have it back?
Yeah.
Can I have it back?
Sorry, no take backs.
It's just my birthday coming up. Can you just give me your copy again?
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ark Nova, of games in recent memory, before we had the chance to play it, it probably looked the best on paper of any game.
Oh,
like
I know.
As far as like,
yeah,
this could be one of our favorite games. Like, it just hit on so many elements. And fortunately, I think we both would say it met expectations of how good it could be. Cool. My number 20 is a bit of a weird one here, because I'm marking it as new to the list.
But it's not.
However, I have 10 plays of it that came before this year of a previous edition of it that were like 10 years ago. So this is like a revival onto the list with a new edition, simply because now I have the new edition. You were actually the one to get it first. This is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization.
Wow.
So it had been a long time since I had played this game, because we had the old edition and we had played it way back a bunch of times.
Yes.
Eventually had gotten rid of it.
I can only take so many of Ryan obliterating me with those wars.
Yeah, and I think we got rid of it. It's a very long game. Some of that war stuff was pretty like swingy, aggressive.
I still have PTSD.
I think some of it was just back when our collection was. Actually, it's probably more back when we had so much time to play. It was easier to like get pulled into like wanting to play other games and stuff. But this new edition, it looked like some really good changes to it. You ended up getting it.
I did.
I think you found a secondhand deal or whatever. Really enjoyed it. And the more I looked into the changes of it and remembered our experiences in the past, I was like, you know what? I think this is a game I would like to get back in the collection. Glad that I did, and I got to play of it in the last year, and was just reminded it's not a new game, but this is a solid system. It's long, and people often talk about like, especially because there's good app implementations and stuff, like why would I play the physical board game? Yeah. But here's the thing. I think the length in some ways is kind of a feature, because of how it makes you feel like you're going through the ages.
Yeah, come on. If the title's Through the Ages, this better be a long game.
You build things up and you see your progression from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. It has this epic feel to it that wouldn't be the same if it was streamlined down to the point where, you played it in 2 hours instead of 4 hours.
Yeah.
And so, it's not one that's going to hit the table a lot for that reason.
Right.
But I had a great time playing it again. Such a great system with just the ongoing card river of things that you draft. And, it's so cool the different things you can do in this game with like changing your government to kind of change your action distribution, or what kind of like buildings do I go into, and just managing your food production, but also your resource production. And I want to like go after a wonder too. And just very, very solid game. I know you have the expansion, but have not played with it.
I think I got it like 2 years ago.
Because currently in the base game, you basically use like all the cards every game, and just having a little bit of like variety and like what leaders and things come up.
I want to say you shuffle in like these kind of proxy leader cards into the deck, and then when you get one, when you draw it, you draw from the. That's kind of how they manage
cool.
the distribution of it, which is cool.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, and technically leaves the door open to more expansions if they wanted to.
Right.
But yeah, great game. Yeah, glad I have it again. Glad it can be back in my rankings.
Love it.
We'll see where it moves. I mean, I've only played it once in the last 10 years,
and that's high. That's high.
But it was enough for me to put it in my top 20.
Speaking of a game that I am very high on, Ryan, we've got a new game coming in at number 19. And this is a game I also don't own. I think I just my whole 20 through 11 I might but is a game that I will absolutely own because, oh my goodness, did this just resonate with me on such a deep level. My number 19 goes to Planet Unknown. Ryan, I honestly cannot think of a game this, recently that gave me such a positive first impression when playing it. One, the presentation, just fantastic. I mean, obviously the Lazy Susan, looks great from a visual perspective, but incredibly functional, right? Like that is critical to how the game is played. And it just from top to bottom, the elements of this game are things that I love. So it's like, okay, the simultaneous play, fantastic. You get done with a game of Planet Unknown and you feel like you have done so much when, gosh, we can play a game with a lot of people in an hour?
About an hour.
Right?
Yeah.
So you feel like you have done so much. Then, we've played with some of the unique maps. Like the maps feel very interesting. And
especially the corporations feel really, really different.
Right. So there's some like huge variability that comes with the map and kind of what you're doing there. The polyomino, like I love the tension of, okay, how the Lazy Susan is turned. You've got, 2 options. And obviously most of the turns, you're not deciding what your 2 options are, but how can I make the best, use of those 2 options? And then you're also going up on these tracks based off what you're playing and you're unlocking stuff. And then you also have I like the shared objective that you have with the person, just the person next to you. So something with the person on your left that you're fighting over, something with the person on your right. It just felt like this is the kind of pinnacle experience for me of a polyomino style, a little bit bigger, there's lighter ones, but if I'm wanting like a little bit bigger one where I am, on this big map and unlocking stuff, this was so much fun. It immediately, I played it 3 times this year. It is on a must own for me, because it's really also not that hard to teach, like it's not that complex of a game, despite, the table presence is, can seem a little large, but it can go up to 6 players.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Ryan, with simultaneous. See, that's the thing. Normally a game up to 6 players that's heavier, you're like, oh boy, but we would never actually play with 6, right? Because
there's been some great new ones in recent years.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Heat as well as one that plays excellently at 6.
Right. So this, was just absolutely fantastic, and for a game like that to immediately go up into the top 20, I think speaks volumes. So
I definitely have there's a spectrum of how confident I am that Daniel's going to like a new game that I introduced. This one I was like, this feels like just a guarantee.
It was great.
Nice. My number 19 has been in the collection for about 4 years now, and it is slowly kind of been moving down in my 11 through 20 range. It's in the category like of weight complexity of some of my favorite games, but it's just like a tier down, but it's still unique enough, and I enjoy it enough that it holds its place in the collection. And this is Underwater Cities.
Nice.
Underwater Cities, it's just got really solid core mechanisms with this kind of worker placement, but you've got these cards in your hand and you always want to make sure you're going to take an action that matches the color of a card that you can play, because then you get to do both. And then that's feeding into building out your own personal board with tunnels and cities and kind of optimizing your production engine and everything. And just the feel of it when playing, I think this is one on the kind of heavier end of the spectrum of these types of resource management games. I think it appeals more to people that like kind of to be more tactical, because every turn you're playing one of your 3 cards and then you're drawing another card. So like your 3 options are constantly being changing, refreshed. Right. And it really does change things depending on what colors they are, on what things they give you, because suddenly you draw a card and it's like, oh, it would be amazing if I could get this played this round, but that means I need to go do a yellow action. I wasn't really planning on doing a yellow action. Could I make that work with my round? So I love that. I mean, it just is a very satisfying kind of just main gameplay loop there. And especially with like a lot of the expansion stuff that we got with the New Discoveries expansion,
right.
Is nice with kind of more cards. You start to get some of this like starting the game with a unique specialist instead of just the specialists that and kind of a maybe unique starting resources,
recessed
and
boards,
and the recessed triple layer boards.
Gosh.
And the boards now have the side that are like highly asymmetrical, so you're getting a board that has different bonuses and different things.
It's like getting Oreos, right? You always the triple stuffed Oreos, that's what it's like. Stuffed. That's what it's like getting the triple layer boards. So
yeah, Oreo, if you'd like to sponsor Rules in the Family, I will eat Oreos on camera as part of our shtick. Just reach out to me, Nabisco, or whoever owns Oreo these days. Underwater Cities, great stuff. I'll always remember it as the game that I bought right when COVID hit, so I didn't get to play it in person for the longest time. But glad that it's stuck around.
Very nice, Ryan. My number 18 is kind of surprising, because you would think, having played this game, I also don't own this game.
I was going to ask.
I also don't own this game. Gosh dang it. You would think if you've played a game this many times that you would finally get tired of it, right? That it would start to drop, or at least that it would stay the same. But no, Ryan. My number 18, Race for the Galaxy, continues to rise in my rankings. 313 plays over here for me of Race for the Galaxy, and got 4 plays of it this last year. Ryan owns our original copy. I mean, that box has wear on it.
Those cards have I have to say, those cards have held up.
They have.
They've got like,
we did not sleeve them. I know. It's honestly amazing. But we got to play. I mean, obviously, 4 games of it this last year. I think, earlier we mentioned, that moment of us when we were at our family Airbnb and we're sitting side by side watching a basketball game and got Race for the Galaxy. Ryan, this system is so just polished and just, for us, I mean, we're at the point now where we can play a game in 10 to 15 minutes, like we are just flying. And 313 plays later, and it is still just as fun every single time to get that, initial starting world and then a hand of cards, and the very simple, thing of your cards are both what you're trying to play and your resources. And then every turn, both players are selecting an action. You get to do the primary action, but it also triggers the secondary of your opponent. And so it just creates a puzzle that is fun every single time. Every single time you're trying to figure out how to, what are the best cards to play in your hand. How are you going to create, which route are you going to go? Are you going to go military? Are you going to go production for victory points? Paying attention to the pace your opponent's going at. Like, if I notice,
it is race.
Yeah, it legitimately is a game that you feel the race element, because if your opponent's going military and pushing, you got to pivot. right? Because if your plan is to build up this long-term victory point production thing, that's not going to work. And so, I mean, I just don't know what more you can say when we've played it this many times and it's in my top 20.
And it's still on the list.
It's like, my goodness, if you can have, obviously we've played it 313 times. I don't even know if I've played it like more than 5 times with more than 2 players. You know what I mean? So it can technically go up to 6.
I mean, with the expansions, I think it's like 6 would be bonkers.
Yeah, I don't even know how that would work. Maybe it'd be cool, but if you have someone else who you enjoy, that kind of just tableau, trying to figure out the best way to play the hands in your card in a game that has truly like infinite replayability. This one has, it's amazing to think how long, I mean, this was one of the first early on games that we got.
Yeah.
And you think about how many games come into the collection, and yet still this one holds strong. So there you go. Number 18. The classic Race.
Yeah, we love engine building, and Race for the Galaxy for us is like the ultimate engine building snack. It's like, what in 15 minutes can you get kind of as satisfying?
So true.
Nice. My number 18 is not playable in 15 minutes. It's usually more like 5 hours.
Can you get through the first round in 15 minutes?
It's like 4 to 5 hours.
Oh,
this is a long one. It's an epic one. It's the ultimate game in a theme that I really enjoy the intellectual property of. This is War of the Ring, 2nd edition. It's the ultimate Lord of the Rings board game. If you're wanting a game that truly embodies the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the actual like real narrative story of it, no game does it better than this. You've got the massive board that's the entire map of Middle-earth, and the game is basically staged with the Fellowship having been formed in Rivendell, and one side's going to be trying to lead the Free Peoples in the Fellowship, while the other side is opposing them with Sauron and all of his armies. And I don't think there's any game in my collection more than this one that makes me not care as much about winning as much as just like having a close game that ends up telling a good story.
Yeah, the story.
And it's a great game, great strategic game. There's a lot of depth here, and interesting decisions, and you're obviously trying to win. But it is such a fun layer on top of it, especially if you're very familiar with the original story, to get to watch this alternate version of the story unfold where different things happen with the characters. The Fellowship breaks up in different ways. Different characters end up in different parts of Middle-earth than they ever would have been in the real story.
Right.
And if this game can manage to stay close and come down to the end where Frodo and Sam are trying to get, the ring into Mount Doom, and there's meanwhile like oftentimes these stronghold battles going where you might be hunkered down in Helm's Deep or something. It does such a good job of funneling the experience towards like the best parts of the actual story, the best elements of it. It's a lot of rules. It's, and you got to have one other person that wants to like
play
just
with you,
do
Ryan.
this.
You just take care of all that.
But there really is nothing like it.
Yeah.
I got to actually play in the last year, and I played with the first expansion for the first time, which adds some more complexity. It adds some more characters. There's now something that like, Galadriel can actually come out onto the map in Lorien, and now you have this extra die that has some special stuff. Daniel doesn't know his Lord of the Rings very well, so,
yeah.
So he doesn't know any of these characters. But
that's Frodo's father, right?
If you're gonna do all this big experience, adding in even more of like the world and what can come out, like they're now the big Balrog could actually like come out onto the map and could even come out of Moria, which is it's just like, if you want like Lord of the Rings fan fiction, like this game does it like none other. There's also no other game I don't think that I intentionally put a soundtrack on in the background as we're playing it, because you gotta throw on the full Lord of the Rings movie soundtrack, and It's good stuff.
Ryan.
So I'm fortunate that like the friend that I played with it this year is one that's local, would be interested in playing again. So I have a path to getting this one played. Because before that, it was you that I had played with. It was another friend that is no longer local. But yeah, it's really excellent. If you love Lord of the Rings and have a tolerance for a very big, complex game, there's really nothing like Lord of the Rings.
Well, and Ryan, what's the name of that little character in Lord of the Rings? That
Gollum?
Yeah. Well, you forgot to mention that you dress up like him every time you play.
Every time, yeah.
So
be sure to roleplay.
Very nice, Ryan. Speaking of games that I do not play because of the theme and intellectual property, my number 17 goes to Lorenzo El Magnifico.
What? I love that
it's not the worst theme, I guess, but this game was a game that when you introduced it to me, I looked at it and said, "This is ugly." And
I had to put on my persuasive hat. To be
Ryan
like,
had to work.
You really need to try.
Ryan
this
had
game.
to work. Ryan had to work hard on this one. But one play of it, and there isn't a game that I think is on my list where I just feel like there's opportunities for borderline broken combos as much as this one. Like you just you have this entire board of taking cards and whatnot, and there's so many opportunities for, oh my gosh, if I get this with that card and I can create this little engine that can produce this thing and whatnot, and the potential is vast. And so it just creates such a rewarding system to be playing within, because you have so many opportunities to do clever things. All that around a really fun, there's not a lot of games that do this where, the only other one, honestly, that I can think of is Grand Austria Hotel. A little bit has this, but where you roll the dice and then it's like determining a shared thing for everyone at the table. And I love that because it's like this shared moment of either sixes and fives, we can do so much, or everyone being like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna manage the fact that we rolled low numbers on this. This is a game that delivers far beyond what it looks like, on just from a visual perspective.
But I will say the overall presentation of this game has grown on me quite a bit.
Okay, right.
It's got some of the endearing kind of old school Euro game artwork that honestly something like Agricola has a little bit with the cards and stuff. It's almost this I think it's actually well done. I mean, the cover I think didn't do them any favors with
it's not bad.
Catching them in the store.
Right. Yeah. But this one just is a Euro game that delivers that potential of combinations, and it is so much fun. We even have the expansion
Houses of
Renaissance, and that just
arguably one of the best expansions.
I mean, it just levels it up,
amazing,
and makes the potential of what you can do even greater. So there you go, Ryan, number 17.
Yeah, you mentioned the shared dice rolling and sharing in that. The last time I played, one of the players had a leader that made it that they always got to treat the 3 dice as 5s. So now we're like, please don't roll low, or they're gonna have such an advantage in that round.
Gosh,
but
that's amazing.
It wasn't an easy one to get out, but it's an example in that game of there's just a lot of crazy abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My number 17 is actually one that I consider in a very similar category to Lorenzo El Magnifico. Dang, it was not nearly as high on this one as I am, but it has, it's slipped a little bit. It's been staying up in my rankings. This is Troyes, or Troyes, however you want to pronounce it. So this is a fascinating...
or Troyes.
Yes. The core dice mechanism in this game of you're basically getting to roll a dice pool that's based on where you have influence, and then you're putting those dice in your district, but then we are drafting the usage of groups of dice, and you can use other people's dice as long as you pay them. Mm-hmm. Is in and of itself a great dynamic, interactive, it kind of has this worker placement element, but people can take your dice. And so you really got to be clever about how you do things. There's some really nice dice mitigation things of like, if I roll low, I could be spending, I think it's influence in the game to like either re-roll or flip my dice. And so there's some very cool things going on in that system. But then the things you're actually trying to do in the game, this is a game where you are kind of trying to look for that broken combo that can lead you to a lot of points. There's going to be these activity cards that are coming out, revealed as the game goes on. So you slowly see kind of what options you have. But ultimately, you're throwing a group of dice through one of these activity cards to potentially trigger it multiple times. And if you can get a couple activity cards to work well together, like, oh, this one lets me store charges that later I can spend to boost my dice so that when I throw it into this other one, I'm going to activate it 5 times and get a whole pile of points. Like oftentimes your final score in this game, you'll have like half of it came from like one strategy that you pulled off and maybe did like 2 times.
Right.
And I find it so satisfying. I find it so interesting and dynamic, the interactions between the players, and the fact that those activity cards are different every game, and there's so many of them. It just talking about it makes me want to play Troyes. I did not get it played in the last year. I think I got it played.
I didn't either.
Like just before. Yeah, Dangle might never play this one again because there's so many other games we might pick, which is a shame because I think it's better than he gives it credit for. But yeah, it really is one of my favorites, especially in this like closer to 90-minute strategy game wait. Love me some Troyes.
Don't worry, it made my top 400. My number 16 is a game that takes so much of what we love about thematic games. I think about how much we love the Lovecraft universe and that kind of theme and setting, and it takes that and distills it down into an experience that feels incredibly refined. And this goes to Cthulhu: Death May Die. I think it's really amazed me because you look at the presentation of the game and it feels like a game that oftentimes those type of games are very, obtuse, very sprawling. There's a lot of rules, to keep track of. That is not this game. This feels so streamlined in how they designed it. And I've honestly been so impressed. Like the actions that you're doing are very simple and clean, and so the learning of the game isn't that hard. Going throughout the map, like it throws you into the action right away. There is no wasted time in this game. You feel like you are in the excitement right at the start, and the game just moves at this fast pace. Obviously, different from some of the other, kind of Lovecraft games we have. This is a very like tactical dudes on a map type of game. You add that with the variability it has around the combination of a like episode, I think is what it's called, and a Elder One, and that you can mix and match any of them. Like that is variability heaven right there. Because I think that's the hard thing with games that do just like a scenario is it's like, okay, well, will it be fun to play that again? Which I have played the exact combination before, and guess what? It's still fun. It doesn't lean so heavily. It's not like a really heavily a story game. Yeah. I mean, it's got some theme, but really you could play the same scenario, over and over and be fine. But the fact that you can do any combination and that each combination brings its own monsters and unique things, like the episode that you're playing completely changes that item deck that you can search when you're by yourself in a room, and it's thematic to what's happening. So the theme ties in really, really well, but also has a ton of variability in it. Last thing about it, like the whole system that as a character you get more and more powerful as you go insane. And that's actually how you upgrade your person, is when you hit those, check marks. And so there's some character customization, but it is a game where you actually want to push yourself right to that threshold where you don't die, but you're also the most powerful right before you die. And so you actually might lose because you didn't, push yourself enough.
Flew too close to the sun there.
Yeah. So this is one, there's so much content, but honestly, I'm like, I might get, season 2 next, but I'm like, holy cow. Like at some point it's like, I don't even need more.
Yeah, some of these guys have so much content. People, you need to sit down a little bit and do some math of like, how often am I getting this to the table?
Yeah, I if you're playing it every week, that's one thing. But so this is a great, and I'm just so impressed by the design. It really impressed me. So that's my number 16.
Yeah, that decision to make it that like when you don't have anything in your space, you get one of the location items or whatever. It's a great way to make it that there's like no dead turns. Like there's no turns where it's like, and I do this and then I guess I don't do anything.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, well, you literally get to have an item because of that.
Totally.
It's a clever decision. My number 16 is one of my biggest risers on my list. It went up 10 spots. Ooh. I think this one is going to shock you a little bit.
Oh, boy.
It is one that you haven't played and is probably pretty unlikely you will ever play. It is primarily a solo game, though there is a new expansion coming out that is going to make it more able to do like a multiplayer runs of it. But this is Paperback Adventures.
Wow.
And
that is quite surprising.
Played this twice in the last year, and I feel like every time I play it, it's just been like rising in my estimation of it. I mean, the way to advertise this game is it's basically Slay the Spire, like as far as like
okay, right.
As far as like roguelike, you're doing a run. It's unabashedly inspired by Slay the Spire. It's got the DNA all over it, combined with the game Paperback, which is a word building, deck building game, which is where we're going to lose Daniel. I like Paperback and I like kind of that word element. And that's going to be what keeps a lot of people from enjoying this game. That said, even if you're not huge on the whole word thing, I wouldn't look past this one because it is such a satisfying, roguelike, go through a run and upgrade, and every run is completely unique, and you're using a character that has a different card pool and different things. Like this game is so replayable on how everything's going to go each time. Mm-hmm. But the core mechanism of making, you're making a word to do your like attack each turn from your hand is like, it's not like some word games where it's really going to reward people who know the most words and like can come up with some crazy stuff. You're usually working with some pretty simple words, like not a lot of letters. And it's more about what is the word that like puts the right card on top, because it's got this really interesting thing that once you make the word, you either splay it left or right. So that's either going to make the top or the bottom card the top of your splay, and whatever is the top triggers its ability. So there's so many times in this game where you get your hand and you're looking at what the enemy ability is, because just like Slay the Spire, you can see what their intentions are of what they're going to do, and you go, okay, like I need to get this much attack this turn or something. Oh, if I can get this F to be the first letter, I can trigger this ability that actually will really help right now, or will give me the energy I need so that I can use this item next turn or something. And so now it's kind of constrained to the puzzle of like, okay, well, I definitely want a word that has F at the beginning, but then like, I really want to make sure this is in it because it's got two swords on the right side of it. So I got to make sure it has this letter somewhere. And, I find that process to be very satisfying. It's very funny sometimes when you come to the answer and it's some like silly little word and you're like, yes, like that was so perfect for what I needed to do here. I had one game that I was very satisfied that my winning blow on the boss was the word squish, which that's a hard word to pull off, because like to even have a Q in my deck and the fact that I had, so that was like an ultimate ending. Look there. You, but Ryan. Yeah, this one keeps going up for me. It's one of my favorite games to play solo. I have actually backed the upcoming content for it that's going to add a new character. Like I mentioned, it adds this new expansion that does let you potentially play two-handed. I don't have that many people in my life that this game would appeal to them.
Our mother.
But would love to. Yeah, maybe I'll get my mom into it. Or our older brother is one that does enjoy this style of game.
Right.
But yeah, all the way up to my 16.
Yeah, holy cow. That's unruly. My number 15, Ryan, rose 7 spots. We got a play of this like a month ago at our family reunion, and this system delivers for us, I think, the pinnacle racing experience. This goes to heat pedal to the metal. Every time I play this game, I am just amazed. Again, a little bit kind of like Cthulhu Death May Die. The mechanics are so streamlined. It is just it. If we used to play Formula D back in the day, which is fun. But I talk about a game that can feel like it drags on a little bit. Like this one just feels like it moves. You feel that racing feel, and the whole managing of your car is such a well-designed system around the managing of heat, and the fact in the game that it really is, when am I gonna push it? When am I gonna make those moves and take heat, because it gets me that that thing. And I guess I'm amazed in this game because you're not rolling dice, so there's not randomness around that. Obviously there's randomness around what cards you draw. But I'm always amazed at how often someone makes a move and we're just like, wow, that was just a big move, or that was
especially with someone who's like seems out of it. We've seen many times where someone who seems like they're down for the count
can make a big move and come back.
It, yeah.
And that's critical in a racing game, right? Because you could so easily see how something like this could fall into like someone gets ahead and then everyone else is like, well, okay, it's just there's no hope at this point. It just feels like this game really does an awesome job with that. You add on top of that, playing with like the garage module of now you get these like unique special cards that you draft for your car. We haven't even done the tournament yet, but I would love to. I honestly want to do that in this next year, of where you do 3 races, I think, and you can upgrade in between each one. You have even a little bit more of this content than I do, some of the different maps, but man, Heat Pedal to the Metal is, in my opinion, the definitive racing game, and is one that is accessible. It's one that I think just draws people in, and ultimately it gives you the racing feel. And that's what I want in a game, is I have this racing feel around such a well-designed system that I'm not going to get tired of playing that. So number 15.
Wow.
Heat Pedal to the Metal.
It's fantastic.
It's so good.
It's a great game. Speaking of great games, it's our generic segue.
That's when we don't know what to say. We just say
it works for everyone on this list. This is a new entry to the list, jumping all the way up to 15. My stock is high on this game right now, and I have no idea where it's going to hold in the future. But this is a snapshot of right now, and right now I am loving this game. And I've played it 8 times. It isn't like I just had a couple really, really strong experiences. I mean, it is just every one of those has delivered. This is innovation.
I was wondering where this one was going to land for you.
Yeah. I've been speaking pretty highly of it.
You have.
And I'm so fascinated by the system. This race, it's got a little bit of that kind of Race for the Galaxy, because I've played it only 2-player, and kind of, you're jockeying. I mean, it really is a race in this game of like, usually you're racing for these 6 achievements.
Right.
But if it isn't 6 achievements, you are racing to try to finish the whole game so you can finish with the most points before your opponent gets the 6 achievements. But just every card in this game is unique. Every card has weird thematic dogma effects that are these things that you can activate them that might wildly change the state of the game. And so it's every card feels like there's a situation where you could make it be useful. Like every card has a way that you could like base a strategy off that card if you had the right thing. And that's just so fascinating to every game be playing it and trying to find the way to navigate it, and the way the game works with so many of the effects. When you trigger them, you need to have, if you don't want your opponent to also trigger the effect, you need to have more of that icon in front of you. And so there's kind of this, your engine building what your top cards and what effects you have, but there's also very much this like your strength in all the different suits, and like some of the effects in the game that let you splay cards or things so that more of your icons are showing are very interesting, because they give you more strength to be able to do these things or protect yourself against things that your opponent is doing.
Right.
I think it is a masterful design. I mean, this game is not new. It came out in like 2010 or something. But I think it is a brilliant piece of design that's just executed really well. There's going to be some people that really don't like this game. It's going to be a little too volatile for them, though I would hesitate to say random or chaotic only because this game, there is plenty of room for skill, and that is evidenced by, sometimes if you want to know if a game is skill-based or luck-based, go look if there's an online community for it. And if there's a community that consistently, the best players are winning or whatever, it's like, okay, there might be more here. And that is definitely the case with Innovation.
Right.
I am so happy just continue playing what I have with the base game, but I do have the Ultimate Edition, and I know they've made the expansion content easier to pull in, so I'm very intrigued to try some of it. But big debut for Innovation on my list at number 15.
Wow. I've got a new game coming in at number 14, although new, very questionable, because it's not really new, but it's kind of new. This is a game that if you would have asked Daniel, I think even of a year ago, that this game would be your number 14 on your list, he would have said you're crazy. But, crazy things can happen in a year. And I think the amount of content I have for this game speaks to that. My number 14 goes to Arkham Horror, the card game. I mean, if you've watched any of our videos the last year, you've seen my entry and now all in on Arkham Horror the card game. I just played a game last night in the Dunwich Legacy campaign right now. This game gives me everything I could want in a living card game. Again, I said earlier with Cthulhu Deathmate, I just love this theme. I don't know what it is.
It's a really good setting for cooperative games.
It is. It's intriguing. It's got a little bit of the mystery feel. I don't know. Just even the time period. It's great. But then this game is so much fun around obviously like the unique characters. And right now I haven't even gotten into like building my own deck. I just use the base deck that they recommend kind of for a character. But even as you play, you're able to upgrade cards and stuff like that. So it's super fun how to play a deck because what's in your deck. And so, the potential, but obviously, you start off only drawing, 5 cards. And so trying to figure out how to play your deck the best way possible, knowing what's later on in your deck, but also, managing what you have right now. But then the game, obviously you're playing through campaigns and the game gives such a thematic feel. And it's the one we were playing last night, like it's just like, oh my gosh, I can visualize this all happening. And the thing I actually was noticing last night that struck me, the system, when it, like, the rounds fly. I mean, I'm playing a 2-player game and so I take my 3 actions, you take your 3 actions. We then, just go into upkeep, draw a card, get a resource, the enemies resolve and then do a mythos and boom. It just felt like it moves really fast. And yet now especially now that I'm entering into Dunwich Legacy, starting to see them really play with the system more and do some really creative things. And I don't know, to have someone that you're able to share that experience with and be playing through is so much fun. So I am thrilled. I have so much content for this, but I'm gonna play it all. Like I've got someone who enjoys that. So I am thrilled with how this one has landed, and it's giving me everything I could want in a living card game experience. So now I just get to experience it all. So that's my number 14.
I mean, I'm calling it now. I bet this is even higher next year.
If I keep playing it, yeah.
You better keep playing it.
I don't know, Ryan. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I will gladly take the Lovecraftian segue into my next entry. Ooh. We have a number of Lovecraft games on this. This is one that has been one of our favorites for a long time. It has moved down a little bit for me. It's been kind of trickling down my list. This is Eldritch Horror.
That's too low, Ryan.
And Daniel, I knew he was going to say it's too low. It actually fell out of the top 10 last year. Dropped another 3 spots. I love Eldritch Horror, and some of my favorite gaming moments have been provided by this game. It is a game that is very wildly swingy in the type of experience you might get, and I'd be lying if I said there weren't times in the past couple of years that I've been 2.5 hours into an Eldritch game and had a feeling of like, it would have been nice to maybe get another game
those make
to the table.
Victories better, Ryan.
I know, but you can, but it affects the ranking a little bit, and my desire to get it to the table. It's a long game,
right?
But I still have it ranked ahead of every great game I've already talked about on this list.
Yeah.
It still is fantastic. The cooperative experience. It's such a few games give the same feel of just experiencing something together as a group as Eldritch does, and it's got the whole encounters that you're doing that you kind of are building up these little stories of what are happening to different people, but just variety through the roof with the different ancient ones and all the different cards, and that's a lot of the appeal of it. I mean, you think of a game that's like an exploration game, and the appeal of an exploration game is what might we find. This is kind of that feel of there's just so much content, and it's the sandbox that it's what's going to happen this time? And even when things are horrible,
which they can be,
which they often are, so things can happen that open new, and on the other side, things can be going really well and quickly fall apart. And so it's fun to play in this system. We've had so many good games of it. I mean, I've played it 45 times. This is definitely coming from a place of experience. 3 in the last year. There's no other big game, I don't think, more than 2-hour game that has been as consistently played over the last decade.
Ryan has to argue against it now.
Yeah, it is definitely a favorite in my group that gets requested often, and it lands this year at my number 14.
Nice. My number 13 is a game that you still own. You have a lot of content for this game, and is one of the most unique games out there. And I truly experienced nothing like it. So much so that I actually now currently own it. Have yet to play my copy. This goes to Millennium Blades. This, I mean, you talk about the meta of you are playing a person in a collectible
who's playing a collectible
card game. So you are alternating between the buying packs and trading and all of that phase, and then you build your deck and you get to play it. And it just so draws upon the nostalgia of I can think back to us playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And us crafting decks and all that, and it's it gives you that experience along with buying and selling, which, I mean, Ryan, you know me, that just talk
Daniel loves to wheel and deal.
This game is wheeling and dealing at its heart, but again, a game that it's not going to get played that often. It's hard to find the right group for this. Although if you find the right person, this is one of those that could be one of their favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
But it delivers a wildly unique experience. There just isn't even a game that comes close to what Millennium Blades delivers, that you literally have money that you're paying and building and collecting, and you do it over a series of rounds. This one has stayed steady despite me not playing it, and
it's
that's
good
because
you finally own it.
I do finally own it. I will get a play of it, but the memories of it just draws me right back into what makes it so fun. So I will get to the table again, maybe this next year. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Number 13.
It's always sad if I'm the only one that owns a game that you have much higher in your rankings than I love Millennium Blades, but you did have it significantly higher than I did.
What the heck, Ryan? Come on.
Yeah, what the heck. Cool. My number 13 is actually another solo game. I don't know what's happening in recent years, Dang. I've gotten into it. I don't do a lot of solo gaming, but I've enjoyed doing a little bit.
Annoying you?
It's just a realization that
you don't like people?
Especially when you're in a season of life where you maybe don't get as many game days with people. Having the option to scratch the itch just on an evening of
it's easy to schedule with yourself.
It's easy to schedule with myself, and I have scheduled many dates with myself with Final Girl.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of content on the channel talking about Final Girl. Let's see, I'm up to 72 plays. I've got 22 in the last year, which was largely because the Series 3 content arrived.
Yeah, you'll have another playthrough video coming out in a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a playthrough one on the channel. I've got rankings for the sets and the series and stuff. So if you're into Final Girl, in fact, that might be how you found their channel.
Right.
If you're into Final Girl. But this is a game, and actually, it lands very close to Eldritch for a reason. Mm-hmm. They're in a similar space of the type of experience they provide, of this kind of horror-themed, what's going to happen this time. It's really hard, but it's very exciting to see how it might play out. Mm-hmm. I think where Eldritch, it's really long, and you might get a bad game. Final Girl is pretty short, and you might get a bad game, and so it does make
hurt as much.
It does make the terrible game not sting as much when you've only been playing for 20 minutes.
That's true.
But I have had so many memorable moments with this system. I've been amazed at how many times a game comes down to the end and a clever series. There's so many opportunities to feel like you're doing clever things. It's the similar to Eldritch, where you're playing a lot with probabilities. There's a lot of make my decision but roll to resolve, which is going to drive a lot of people crazy. But that so drives the narrative of the game and the theme of what's happening, and how your plans don't often go how you planned them in these types of settings. I think it's a brilliant system. I think it's brilliant how you can mix and match all the locations and killers. I am getting to the point where I've got a lot of content for it. I actually sold a few of the sets,
I'm so proud
which,
of you.
I think a lot of people would have a visceral reaction at breaking up the series.
Drop your emoji down below of your
selling
reaction
off
around
individual sets. But I just realized, if there's ones that I'm not enjoying as more, even playing 20 times a year, I'm only going to be playing with, some of the content one time of.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. I know they're releasing more and more content for this, and I definitely will be intrigued to try new sets. Maybe I get some new sets, and maybe some of my bottom sets keep leaving the collection as I kind of tune it to what I enjoy the most. But I've just had so many good experiences with this one, and I believe it is according to my rankings, my top solo board game.
Yeah, this is the game that if I liked solo board games, I would love this game. Yeah. I can just totally tell.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Makes sense. My number 12 dropped 6 spots. Didn't get to play with this last year, but really, really love this Euro game. This goes to Great Western Trail. This one, I love so much of the whole kind of arc of the game, because it's this really interesting. You're going in a loop, right? And you're running this. You're going to Kansas City, and then you come back at the start again, and yet you're building up this engine, as you go, both from a deck building perspective of you're trying to make your cattle better so that when you get to Kansas City, you've got the best thing to present there. And what's fun is that obviously there's randomization with what cards you draw, right? You might not get your best cattle right there, but you can stop along the way to optimize things to spend this card to get this thing, and then that lets you draw new cards because you're really trying to get the best thing by the end. I think that's the thing I love about this game is I love tactical games, and this is one where you just okay, I can stop here and I can, do this and get this money, and then and then I'll stop here and do this.
And it's always limiting your choices to the next 3
next 3 spaces. Where are you going to go? Unless you obviously increase your speed and stuff, which is a big thing in the game. It's another one, a little bit kind of like Race for the Galaxy. The pace of the game matters in a big way. If your opponent is able to rush Kansas City more, without destroying themselves, because if you ever can't go to you fill up spots that you ship to, and so if you stop at, and so if you ever can't go there, your hand's not good enough to go to the next one. You have to take a negative going to Kansas City. So there is a little bit of risk of how fast do I go, but inevitably, the faster you're going, the more you're getting to that spot. So really I think it delivers such a unique feel in that, Euro game kind of heavier weight of, I just don't have a game that has that kind of cycle happening, and yet it is such a fun one for me. to do. And so this is one that has dropped a little bit, probably just because it didn't get played, but I really enjoy the expansion for it as well. I think that just adds a lot more interest on the going to Kansas City part, because now it's like even the cities you go to can branch off. So this one's been a ton of fun, and it's my number 12.
Nice. Yeah, the core system of like this rondelle that you're controlling your pace on, and every time you get to the end, you get to, based on the quality of your hand. So it just is a nice tension of how slow do you go to improve versus how many times do you deliver.
Right.
It's good stuff. My number 12 is a game that I have played 6 times, it looks like, and that's like 6 times over like 5 years. It hasn't been getting to the table a lot, but every time I play it, I have a great time in this. Last time I was especially reminded of just kind of how strong this game is in the category of kind of like a more interactive Euro game. This is Brass Birmingham. And
wow.
Brass, it's such a solid system. I mean, the system itself of kind of this network building and the way that you're using resources and delivering goods and things and, putting out tiles that you're ultimately trying to flip. That's like the main way you score in the game. And it's either a tile is a resource tile that is going to flip once all the resources are used by you or anybody else, which is a big piece in the game, or it's one of the goods tiles that are flipped when you're able to deliver that good through the network to one of the destinations, which can include other people's links in the network. And so it's just a game that it's so interesting to see how it unfolds, see what opportunities present themselves because of how your opponents are building around you and how the shared network is growing. But then it's all driven by these cards that most of the actions, you just discard a card and it doesn't matter what it is. But if you're ever doing a build action, the card is going to determine either the type of industry you can build or the location that you can build at. And so that is very much guiding kind of where you might be able to play on the map. And I just love that it's added that tactical element into it, that every game is going to play out completely differently, and you always have to kind of work with the cards. Gives it this endlessly it breaks down any kind of like optimal play in the game, which is great for my taste. So really, really solid. It maybe lacks some of the exciting variability that some of like my favorite games have. It's not one that at the beginning of the game you're getting your variable player power or a bunch of other stuff. But you get into playing this game, and the core gameplay is just so strong and so satisfying that it's enough that it is all the way up at my number 12.
Yeah. Very nice, Ryan. I'm going to be bringing us home here with a game you mentioned on this list, and is one that my wife and I now have played several times together. It is quite long, but delivers on just the progression and arc that is so satisfying. This goes to Through the Ages, a new story of civilization. And you were saying this earlier, Ryan, but the game, it's funny. The game kind of, you always feel like you're a little bit behind, like not doing enough, like there's always a problem in your engine, like either my resource production isn't enough, or the food isn't good enough, or my government is limiting me. Like there's always, so you're always solving solving problems, it feels like, and yet the game with that river of cards, that's so satisfying. Just how with these options of cards, and obviously takes more actions to take ones further down, can I best be upgrading, optimizing, and you feel over the course of a 4-hour game that you did so much. Ironically, as long as the game is, I sometimes feel like it's not long enough. Like there's times where I get to the end of the game and I like almost wish I could have done even more in that like last stage when you're getting movie theaters and like to go from
internet.
A game, right, where you go from a game where you're starting out with like Moses and these like super old ancient people, and you're ending with the internet and rockets and like it's just so fun like to experience that arc, and it is such a well-designed Euro system that I think gives us this challenge that we love in other, kind of Euro games of how am I going to solve it? It's hard, right? This isn't like just you can kind of do it. Like you are faced with hard problems of how do you keep this engine going and how do you make the best with what you have.
And how do you not ignore military and get absolutely destroyed?
Yes, a little bit easier in the new edition, a little bit easier, but no, it's very true, especially the head-to-head. Like you are very much paying attention to what your opponent's doing, especially when it comes to military. So we've had a ton of fun with this and need to try the expansion, but it's my number 11.
Nice. Just missed the top 10. As did my 11. Imagine
no
that.
way.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
I can't.
This is actually a game that has been in my top 10 since it entered my collection. So I don't know how many years that is. It's definitely the 3-4 years that we've been doing the list
big
here.
Fall.
It was down to 9 last year, so it kind of has been dropping. Here's the thing. I haven't played it in 2 years, which is a tragedy, and I have to get it played. And a game has to start slipping if you're not getting it to the table.
That's a rule.
It's a rule. In fact, I ranked it higher, and then I applied
the mathematical calculation.
Formula. Yes. To drop to 11. This is A Feast for Odin. I love A Feast for Odin. It's got a core that is very much the Uwe Rosenberg farming simulator, worker placement kind of foundation, but then it goes in a wild different direction than a lot of his other games with this. The pieces are actually puzzled onto your board and you're kind of actually upgrading these shapes, to as the resources in the game. Just a smorgasbord of actions. I don't actually know how to say that. Smorgas?
It sounded great, Ryan. Just stick to it.
Just stick with it. So many actions.
That should have been the secret word,
but
dang it.
And you had to spell it right to get your entry. So many actions, but a very interesting system of there's the column of if you send one worker and there's the column if you send 2 workers and 3 workers. So it's just the worker placement to be a little bit of oh man, oftentimes sending 3 workers to do something is more than if I do 3 things separately, but it's maybe less flexibility and variety than if I went separately and but if I go separately, maybe I can do more different things, but maybe I'll get blocked on things I want to do. And it's a really good core system. Adding in the Norwegians expansion really just beefs up. It actually refreshes that board to now there's this interesting, powerful column that you can only go with your last group of workers.
I love that.
Which I think is a fantastic change. It makes it a little more feasible to rush your workers, do some really big groups, and then you get first access to this kind of valuable column. I think that was a great change. It's a hard one to get to the table because it's kind of a big teach and a big experience. And it's competing with a lot of other games in its weight class. I will definitely, if mark my words, if we're doing our top games next year,
my gosh.
and I haven't played A Feast for Odin,
you hear that, listener? Hold Ryan
I don't
to
even
it.
know. I don't even know what the consequences should be, but I should get roasted in the comments for sure. But still a game that is very, very high in my rankings, and wrapping up our 20 through 11 of all time.
20 through 11. That means there are still 10 games better than this, and in our 10-1 we will announce the winner of the giveaway. So if you somehow got to this point and didn't enter your word, which is not smorgasbord, it is final. You can drop that down in the link below, along with go back to our old videos and enter the secret words in there. Get up to 4 entries. Get you a good shot at being one of the 3 lucky winners. But once that 10-1 video is released, it'll be right here. Go see if you won. Go see our top games. We'll see you in the next one.